Hey everybody, it's Jill Blanchette. I'm here with my second card from Notes from the Heart kit that we got in December. Here's the card I'm going to show you. And it will use one of the cards, the pink flower, and I'm going to try and add the ferny stuff, leafy stuff on this one. I didn't use it on most of my cards, but I am going to try and use it on this one. I did not here, but I'm going to try it, see what we get. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to fold my card in half. I have a 3 7/8 by 5 inch Pretty in Pink piece. And then I got the same size in the basic beige, but we're going to tear this one. So you can see that I started to put my ink on it only because I embossed and I wanted to make sure that the ink was dry. So I started, I made one up ahead of time, and then I just kept going, and I realized I didn't want to do this piece. So we're going to get started, and you'll see. So I got my Pretty in Pink layer. We're going to basically just kind of rough up the edges a little bit on this. Take something fairly, I don't want to say sharp, but something with an edge on it that you can drag around. Don't worry if it rips, it's fine. It's just a little distressed looking. I wanted it kind of distressed looking. What you could also do with this card is pull out some of your, I'm going to call them Victorian stamps. You know, like the little bird flying, some postage, some texture, and put that on the next layer. I did not, because I don't want you to have to go and grab a bunch of extra stuff that a lot of us might not have. So I got my Pretty in Pink ink pad, and I'm just going to drag it along the edges where I rough that up. And then now I'm just going to take the edge of the ink pad and I'm going to just poke it down around. And so this is where, if you have some background, some like I said, like the bird, the flying bird, the postage stuff, any of the kind of Victorian-y looking, shabby chic-y looking stamp sets, this would be a good place to use them. I'm just, like I say, using my ink pad because we all probably have ink pads. So we put that Pretty in Pink on. Then I'm going to kind of do the same thing again on the basic beige piece. Let me wipe my pink off. I got the basic beige piece. And actually, I'm going to tear it first. This one I tore. So if you're a big ripper, then you might make your piece even a little bit bigger than this. Depends how much you're going to rip off. You want it to layer inside the pink one. So I'm just going to tear this around. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to ink up the kind of the edges a little bit, and then tap the ink pad all around on the card layer. This one I'm doing kind of small. Let's see if it's too small. I think it'll be all right. Let's see, because then we're going to glue them on top. Oh, I want it a little bit shorter. So let's just tear it again. Tear a little bit more off. Right here. And we'll call that good. Then we're going to take our ink pad and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to tap it around, get some lines going in every direction. The flatter you lay the pad, the more like marks you're going to get, kind of thing. So just tap it around on there, give it some different looks, different degrees of thickness on the ink. Like I said, the more straight up that you use it. And that I'm finding the best luck on this edge. Probably if you close it, this edge is going to be the closest you're going to get to your paper without getting a whole bunch of extra ink on there. And I am going to just also give a quick little run along the torn edge with the ink pad. We're going to call that good. And now I'm going to set this aside because, like I say, I'm going to emboss, and being wet, I'll bet you anything the embossing powder is going to stick to the paper because it hasn't completely soaked in and such. So I'm going to bring in my basic beige, and I'm going to get a little bit of my embossing buddy down in the corner. I'm going to use Get Well Soon. You could use any of them. That the Just a Note would fit on there nicely too, down in the corner. But I'm going to use Get Well Soon and Versamark. I'm going to stamp that down in the corner. Then I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder. Looks like I did not. Oh, I did pretty good. I might not have went out far enough with my embossing buddy, but we will see. I'm going to heat this real quick. And I did use white. You could use any color. You could quickly do it with any color of ink. Like we could have used the Pretty in Pink ink and then quickly put the powder on the top before it had a chance to dry. Or you could use black or another color of embossing powder. However you want to do it, it'll work. And like I say, I just use white, a little kind of subtle on there. I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece onto the Pretty in Pink. Right here. I think that's straight. Looks a little crooked, but I might have stamped crooked, but we're going to call that good. I have some Pretty in Pink ribbon that I'm going to cut a piece off, and then I just like to tie a bow in it, kind of. I guess it's more of a knot. It's not necessarily a bow, but I got the two ends there that give it a little bit of a bow effect. Okay, and then I want the knot bow over to the side, so I'm just going to give a little snip there so that I have just a little bit here to go around so that my bow stays there, and then I got the other side. So I got some paper, or some tape, sorry. We're going to just tape this end to the back, pull this around, and tape it to the back. And let me see. This one I got a little bit lower than what I want, and this one might be a little bit higher than what I want. So let me see. I fed the flower underneath. Well, that looks like it might be all right. Okay, so let me trim those ends a little bit. What I want to do, I'm thinking I wanted to utilize this vellum piece somehow on here. Is it going to feed my leaf underneath? But the flower's so big, I didn't know if I was going to be able to see it. So it's one of those things that you might want to cut it into pieces. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's kind of cut this off, follow the contour. we can kind of stick that out on one side. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to stick some dimensionals onto the back of this flower. And let's get that in place. And then we will goof around with our vellum pieces to cut them and get them on there where we think they look good. So let's tuck this leaf underneath and then play around with our placement. Call that good. That looks pretty good. And then now we can, like I said, stick this under where we want it for sticking out, possibly. I probably just got to cut another leaf off because where I got my dimensional thing is preventing it from going under, but like that. I just want it to stick out a little bit. Then over on this side, I want the same thing. I just want it to stick out a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of cut off the pieces, stick them in there without it sticking out too much off the sides. So, excuse me, holy frogness. All right, so I'm going to stop the video so you don't watch me finagle this, and I'll show you where I end up sticking them. So hold on. Okay, I just stuck a few pieces under. I cut them down into just a couple leaves. So I got like pieces like this left because I just cut some of the leaves off. And then I just tucked them in there. This one's popped up a little bit. These are glued down flat. But you can pop them up or attach them to the flower. Either way works. Now we're going to go ahead and attach this to the front of our card. Try and put it on there evenly. I forgot I was putting it on this card base, so I could have pushed them off a little bit more because they would have hung over on the white. So maybe you'll remember that when you go to do yours. All right, so that's glued on there. Then I have some of the In Color Shimmer Gems, and I'm pulling out some of the pretty and pink ones. And I'm just going to stick those around on the front to give some accents to the, don't stick it on your leaf, I think I did there, just to give it a little extra look. So there we go. Again, I didn't do anything inside because the card's white. You could cut this card down, trim around it kind of thing, and then you could, if you cut this off, you could cut this flower off and put it down in the corner so that it, where this came off, it hangs off the edge and it looks like you snipped it off. But there's all kinds of fun things you can do if you want to cut this flower down into smaller pieces. So here's card number 2, and I'll be back again.